you're only down 2. We're going to leave up some blue. Oh, there's Emrakul the
How about
Promised End.
the Promised End mode number 2? It's like we're a Pro Tour.
Oh, but is this a
Eldritch
consign?
again.
Wait, I think if we have consign, we can replicate it.
Oh, nope.
No, it
I'm
looks
seeing
like
some stuff get untapped.
Oh, okay. So I see. We thought about casting Felia, but we
Right.
didn't want the Felia to die to the Emrakul in the microspawn,
Of
so we decided
course.
to keep it.
And Raid, unfortunately, misses the Aether Vial trigger while
Tough.
controlling Hunter's turn.
Yeah, and I like this align a lot because you would maybe want to normally take it up, but there's an Overlord of the Bailmark ×2 in hand. So going up to 4 is actually letting Hunter get there, as Hunter's probably going to take this Vial up to 5 this game.
All right, and with a White Orchid Phantom in that field we've been talking about in hand, Ray can't actually afford to cast any of these spells without leaving themselves dead on the table.
Yeah, but here's the downside to all this. Emrakul the Promised End is still in play, and Hunter's at 12. So the moment it connects, it is game over.
All right, here's White Orchid Phantom, goes after the Eldrazi Temple, the 4th one.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing why Hunter wants the, consigned memories in the sideboard.
Yep.
This matchup is just not free, and I think I really like this play from Hunter. Hunter's considering Aether Viring and Flicker Wisp to get rid of the Emrakul.
This is such a tough right, it's you can either use Vial, put it in on your turn, and White Orchid Phantom can blow up another land, perhaps raise only blue spell source in something like Breeding Pool, maybe the second colorless source on a Cavern of Souls, or you can do it on Raise Instep, so you clear the way for your flying creatures to get through this Emrakul.
Okay.
Upkeep. This looks like an upkeep Flicker Wisp.
Yeah.
Worthy of note, Hunter at 12. We haven't been talking about that very much, but this Emrakul is lethal.
It's very much lethal. I mean, the card has Trample too, right? Like this Emrakul does, I believe.
At the very least, it can kill Hunter if it connects.
Sure,
That's what we know.
Well, the Sowing Microspawn plays a big part of this. If it has Trample, then Sowing Microspawn needs to get blocked as well.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and we see Ray on the upkeep with that Kozilek's command that we had talked about them building towards, thinking about how to use it at this point.
And we're going to have a lot of cards here.
Okay, a lot of draws towards something good.
I think it's important to remember, too, if Ray can't attack this turn,
Yes.
Ephemerate on the Flicker Wisp, end of turn, that Emrakul is gone, and we're in the air for lethal. So there's a lot of good draw steps here.
Okay, so we see Ray, they've left themselves 1 mana. They're scrying with the Kozilek's command.
Yeah, this maybe was Scry destroy a creature? I'm not exactly sure what the back.
2 on top. 2 on top. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I think this is all in response to targeting the Emrakul.
I agree.
Oh, but looks like there's maybe some confusion about where we're at exactly in the game, and we're just double checking. Easy to happen, especially when so many things just happen, right?
Just trying to figure out or communicating about where the game is at this point. Crucial turn. In so many ways, it feels like it really does have.
Looks like the Emrakul is going to be returning at the end of turn. It was spawns was the other mode. Okay, I wasn't sure if maybe we had, wanted to kill the Flicker Wisp or something like that. But I like this from Ray. Just get the mana. Gives you a lot of things you can't potentially do.
At the very least, each mana you spend for X is kind of free because you can refund it so easily. Paying a life for Talon, Curiosity to make colored mana for the Utopia Sprawl.
That's Kozilek's return. That's
Oh my god! Oh my god!
An attack for 3 from Hunter. Ray. I mean, we know this is double Overlord.
Oh my god!
I mean, this is a game 3 situation. I've never seen one. Hunter has Overlord in hand, and people staring down. This is a tough spot to be.
Oh my god! The swings!
Yeah, and
Picking him up, game 3!
Yeah, and Hunter had a lot of good sideboard cards, had a lot of good interaction. Wasn't enough to stop the Eldrazi.
And something I really want to emphasize is how much it paid off that Ray just cared so much about every single resource they had access to. They had exactly enough mana to set up that sequence in the final turn where if they were 1 mana or creature shorter, none of that would have worked. They would have lost, and they would be at 1-1, but instead, we have an exciting game.
Yeah, we do, and we're gonna take a look at our sideboards here. Take a look at Hunter. You know, we can maybe change things up here on the play with the draw. We have a couple cards that, you know, are reasonable-ish things to bring in, but I think we're gonna maintain the status quo. We do see Eldrazi Mother Machines. It's important to remember a lot of these are cast triggers when it comes to the Eldrazi, so it doesn't really work there. In the battle of Eldrazi versus Phyrexians, Eldrazi are winning. When it comes to Ray, though, you know, we saw Nature's Claim come in. We saw as a card that could reasonably come in, and I think the Canine Curator, seeing how those games played, actually might be kind of big, just because it's a 3/3.
It's so interesting on the Unholy Heroes, where a lot of times you want to more often than you draw because you're going to have a more reactive game. After watching how Hunter went after the red sword, playing around and that sounds like it could be a huge liability to have these Unholy Heats stranded in your hand.
That is true. That's a good point to bring up. I think another thing to bring up here too is like a lot of players are doing 3 Kozilek's command in their sideboard. I'm sorry, 3 in the main and 1 in the sideboard. Ray just has all 4 in the main.
I mean, it's one of the best cards, right? I feel like in so many matchups, you're going, okay, well if they don't have Kozilek's command, then that's what it's like.
Yep.
One place you can join us though is SCQCon Hartford in May. Championships, the standard round, and you know, I'm on the place with Wizards of the Coast, so it's gonna sound like I have to say this. Standard's been awesome lately.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun playing Standard, and hopefully we can all have a lot of fun with you at SC Hartford May 16th. Check out StarCityGames.com for more info there, and make sure to follow.
Yeah, a lot of people following that one right now. A lot of awesome matches being played all over the world.
Yep, can't wait. As it looks like Hunter is having to think on this hand.
Oh, that is the look of someone going, okay, does my match ride on this? That's a keep against Ray saying, okay, well, my match doesn't ride on this. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm going down to 6, and you know this Eldrazi deck holds pretty well. Oh, a lot of
Bet you didn't
damage
expect
that,
to see
even
me.
though you do need a lot of resources
I've got
to
you
ramp out
beat
big
6
things like
different
Emrakul
ways.
Promise in. You have a couple Soul Lance, throwing Micro Spawn, and a level Rumble, you're ready to rumble.
Yeah, so Multiplier is a card that internally while we were working on this deck was something where we designed almost intentionally to make sure that the Eldrazi deck could mulligan and be a real contender. We had a bunch of all-in versions with Haragast that haven't quite played out as, you know, they could have, but some of that's because they are not as forgiving. You do have to go down to 6 or even 5 cards, but having Multiplier is going to give you an ability to get more resources. But this deck, that's around the best.
Yeah, especially combine that with Kozilek's command, like Mill Drifter has a 3-mana way to return the Kozilek's command back half. It's huge against these aggressive decks like Energy.
Alright, so players start things off a little bit more tame with the 1-drop in, while Ray has these ancient stirrings.
Yeah, and Ancient Stirring's really impressive card. I mean, sorry, Micro Spawn looks green here, but it's the void, not green.
Right, exactly. And this is really one of the places where not having Devourer of Destiny, it feels like it's paying off for Ray, where they get to sculpt their game in a kind of more traditional way.
Yeah, and their hands don't get, you know, clogged up with 7s as much, right?
Yes.
You need to give a little bit less access with Ulin's Labyrinth, but in exchange you get to kind of have less fail-safe games, which is going to be a big problem for the Dream decks.
Yeah, and it feels like it's
My
really
eyes
paying
are
off
as
in
sharp
those
as my
sideboard games,
sword.
where we're seeing Ray able to kind of play a little bit of a slower game and play the inevitability role rather than trying to burst out a huge Eldrazi on turn 3.
Shadowy Backstreet, pretty good.
So much to do, so much to do.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I like Hunter's pin, by the way.
It's really nice, actually.
It's really green.
It's that's the type of thing, you know, it's not a reflective because you can roll up with your forest playmat, your green sleeves, your green pen, black white.
Esper Dog.
Yeah.
Speaking of Esper, we just put the Meticulous Archive in the yard.
Ooh, sounds like Hunter has a land heavy hand. hand and just really looking for reaction.
Yeah, and in terms of course, 2 blue sources makes it hard for Ray to put swimming microspawn to have the blue like not be a huge factor. Well, now you're down to 1.
All right, well, Overlord of the Bailmark getting ended on turn 2. What are we really thinking about Alchemy versus Aven Interrupter? What are the worlds where this is a hard choice?
Yeah, I mean, Aven Interrupter is just a card that is very powerful in interacting, but it looks like Hunter maybe has value in the interaction of permanently answering something off the board, getting that Solitude, maybe not expecting to ever get to Bailmark again, and wants to make sure a quick Emrakul Promise End doesn't end the game.
Yeah, no, and that totally makes sense. This could be a game where we see Hunter doesn't actually get to do White Orchid Phantom 100 times, and we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. We also haven't seen, Hunter cheat this Overlord out. Every game it's just been, 5 turns later, that's when it's coming off.
Yeah, this could be one of the games where Hunter's needs a lot more pressure rather than disruption. Right? Not really playing a very fast game, just a lot of selection to level and rumble on. Utopia Sprawl?
Oh, looking good, boys.
Yeah, losing that Emrakul will promise in the graveyard, but really also causes Hunter to hit the yard, so if we cast the 7-mana Eldrazi, it's going to potentially do 5 damage to the board.
Really big.
Yeah, and that matters a ton. That kills everything in Hunter's deck. That's part of the reason why you're seeing this deck also succeed.
Now
Just,
I know
it
your
gets to play sort of the
weakness.
best Wrath conditionally right now.
Right, and it's something where you don't even have to commit it every time. Sometimes you can say, okay, here's Kozilek's land, and then they do the protective thing, and you go, okay, but I won't cast it.
Yeah,
Yay.
Trigger.
Alright, so it goes back to Hunter's first half, really thinking about this next game. Fetches with a club.
Taking a little think.
Alright, he fetches with a Flooded Strand. No take backs. Library's in his hand.
Nice,
And
bro.
it looks like Hunter, I think, is trying to figure out about getting a blue land.
Ah, you dumb
I mean, at this
bastard.
point, you have to, right?
You're
Yeah, I
fucking
guess-
I
dumb.
think Consign is still in the deck. There's one in the graveyard.
Yeah, but there's a swimming Micro Spawn in hand for Ray, which obviously, only halfway on the casting it. So that moment, this Flicker Wisp onto the Overlord's a lot of pressure. So like
Pretty
you
sure we
mentioned,
had
I mean, and
that.
it might just be we don't have the Consign.
Retarded.
And we were thinking about what happens if we lose, our Black Land too.
But
There we go, we pick up the Aven Interrupter now, and we have a real block on the board. Ray needs to answer this.
Okay, and so now a lot of the Aven Interrupter choice makes a lot more sense, right? Because we saw Nature's Claim out of Ray in Game 2, which meant that if the Overlord gets Flicker Wisp, Nature's Claim, and Hunter doesn't have that fast clock, he is preparing for how things go wrong. But in the world that doesn't happen, he gets to Flicker Wisp and still have the Aven Interrupter for later. I think that long-term planning is really paying off for him here.
Force coming
Good.
down.
Oh, you
Dude.
hate to draw those whenever your opponent has
That's
White
right.
Orchid Phantom. You're like, no, stay in my library, please.
Definitely, and I think we're seeing a little sprawling on there into probably spawning. We'll have to see exactly what Ray wants to do. Might just have bigger hopes for the spawn when it comes to, getting rid of a land. Looks like we're rumbling.
Mumble, umble, umble.
One of the best green cards in Modern right now. Ray did bring in the Consign.
And we saw how much it's not just Ray's ability that leans really hard on triggered abilities. Hunter is also making use of them.
Yep, and then we're going to evoke that Null Drifter, which triggers the Kozilek's return. That's going to wipe the board.
Ooh.
And so while Ray doesn't have anything on the board, neither does Hunter, and Hunter seemed to be very much in on that Overlord of the Bailmark closing the game out.
Yeah, this is really tough. All of a sudden, it's the ramp deck with a mana advantage and maybe a similar number of cards in hand against a creature deck with no creatures in play. I know which side I have the advantage meter on.
It's tough. It's a tough spot to be. I mean, Hunter has some cards that can line up pretty well. We can see Aven Interrupter do a pretty good job, but once again, a lot of these cards are cash triggers, right? You get a swimming Micro Spawn with an Aven Interrupter, they're still going to get the land, and when they play it the next turn for 2, they're going to get a land. So it's a little awkward as Boggart Trawler. It's going to be the Boggart Bog on the backside here. Oh!
Emperor of
Is there an
Bones?
Emrakul in the graveyard?
Oh,
There's an Emrakul from earlier in the game.
wait.
That's 13. All right, Ray needed to hit that last turn or was going to lose the game. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, Ray down. Ooh, what a swing.
That was a huge, and that'd be a moment for Hunter. Hunter's like, dang, maybe I should put that card in my deck this
Okay.
weekend. That was really good.
Okay. Talk to me.
And Ray is like, huh, I thought I couldn't lose. Now I think it's a little tough.
Yeah, now I don't know if I can win.
Yeah, and so did Myco spawn. I mean, it can come down, it can block, grab hand, but no, that Emrakul is longer than finality counter. There is a Null Drifter in the yard, which is important to know too for other Emperor Bones.
Yeah, definitely. This is something where Ray's also just trying to keep count of what creatures are in the yard for the sake of the Emrakul, the Promised Ends. They might want to, I don't want to say use more wholesomely, because I kind of think Emrakul's always the bad guy. Cannot.
Nah, shit.
That's true. I mean, it's a whole thing, I guess.
Spell
But
pierce.
making sure later that Ray has the ability to cast the card is something that's front of mind for them.
Yeah, and you're seeing the tank here as we are, going deep into this round. There's 5 minutes left here. These players have been playing a long game with a lot of decisions and a lot of tight choices that need to be made.
Drawing the forest, not so bad anymore when you're at 2.
Yeah, suddenly I'm more happy about the forest.
Alright, how about the Sowing Myco spawn? How do you feel about that one?
How do I feel about that card is a great question, and it's pretty okay here. It can block.
Alright, it fetches up an Eldrazi. I take it
Probably.
back.
Yeah, this might be a spot where Ray wants to be like, okay, while this is maybe my land that makes the most mana, yeah, maybe he wanted to grab something different, like could have got Majuka Bog, the old Null Drifter from the yard. That's a little loose. You could also get something like a commercial district, but it looks like we're actually just going to try to cast a Talisman.
Yeah, that makes sense. Despite being a white card,
Be jealous of my talent? Don't worry,
I would
Pom
say
Pom
Hunter's
Chan.
deck is
I've got
pretty
this.
good at
Your
actually
secrets
refining
didn't stay
those
hidden
last
for long.
impressions to flicker away.
Definitely. Now Hunter has a 4/4 and compared to a 3/3, wins combat.
And, if Hunter even has another land, we know he has a Solitude.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll deal 1 essentially, right? You also have their gain 1 part of the spoke. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of good enough. We also, there's an Aven Interrupter in hand, and we talked about how it's a little opposite, right? How they get the Caster again. But if you have lethal on board, if you make this a small game, then that's not going to be the case. I think Hunter doesn't have like some sort of Flicker Wisp type card. We've already seen that played. Might also be a moment where it's like, okay, I've got it 1. All right, we're going to see the Emperor Bones attack. Oh, Emperor Bones exiles. We're going to get his Cosmos return. Huge for Emperor Bones. That's pretty real card. It's not the greatest card in the world, but it's not the worst.
Looks like it's gonna go after Eldrazi. Forest not in there.
Yep. It looks like we were just confirming Utopia Scrawl was on. Yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, I want to hit this one.
It wasn't an Eldrazi, I'll tell you that.
It's true. Alright, so we have 7 mana, which is the choke point when it comes to a lot of this Eldrazi. There's no different regard to GFTs laying out 4 archetypes, which means that Emrakul is not quite online without a little bit of help.
And this is tough because Hunter also has threats.
Yeah, and
Aven Interrupter is
Aven Interrupter is huge, and notably too, flying. If we had Codlix Command, we could maybe kill the White Orchid Command if we somehow to resolve, make some spawns, jump block it out of this game. But the Aven Interrupter combination of that, which is all face up, comes back on turn 2. This is a big game.
And something I really want to commend is Hunter's long-term planning this game. This is something where I really felt like he did a committed plan that's very different from the first game. It's not just something that he wins, it's that he's positioning his cards according to his plans for a match.
Definitely. And playing to the hand that's dealt, right?
Yes.
We saw earlier,
Yes.
It's like, okay, well, I have my blue land for my consign. I want my consign. Well, I don't have, maybe I don't even have it, also maybe I don't have time for it.
Yes.
Right? So, really great play here from Hunter. As Ray's trying to figure out how can my great play in this game, as it's tricky, as I think Ray might be even needing to Cosmic's Command here and find, a red spell to not use all our mana like normally we talked about to make like a cast spell still.
Can't actually cast Kozilek's Command. Only one cover.
Oh, pardon, yeah.
Kozilek's Return to get renowned, and
Do you have another one?
an
Oh,
Invoked Mold Drifter.
okay. but Aven Interrupter is still a 2-2 flying. Wind Drake wins limited.
Oh,
And yeah, Ray is like, okay, we're gonna see it from Hunter.
the goal mode, the win rate,
Yes.
the W for Hunter Oven advancing 2-0 over Beijing. What a sick match.
That was a great one, and you have to win matches like that.
Right, exactly. Game one, in a lot of ways, just kind of felt like it was almost a given, right? A ton of Knight of the White Phantom, or excuse me, Phantom Orchids. But later on, those other games had so much back and forth. We thought Hunter was out of game 3, and Emperor Bones just flipped that on its head.
Yeah, I mean, Emperor Bone's really showing, like, hey, I'm the Valley, you sort of graveyard kitty card, but also I can games, right? Games end on the spot with me sometimes, and really matters. Great play there from both players, but Hunter really winning a match, and if you're going to make it to places like, you know, the top 8 of our RC this weekend, you're going to have to beat players like Ray Zhang in the Swiss, and Hunter had it early, but rose to the challenge.
Yeah, really building a case for himself. I was super impressed with the way, I think you put it in a good way, where he said figuring out a way to play the cards he was dealt. Right, I think a lot of players have fallen into the trap of winning a game and then trying to replicate that game over and over and over. But the adaptability of this Warzone deck that we've seen over the last few weeks is really impressed me, and I think that we just saw it on show there.
Yeah, the deck's really good, and I think one of the real hallmarks of someone who plays the deck well is doing that, because even though you have a lot of access and things with Recruiter in the guard, well, we never saw that the whole match.
Yeah.
It never came up, so it's sort of a situation where sometimes you do need to play the cards you're dealt very well, and Hunter did a great job of that.
Yeah, I think that's something where a lot of the times you can see a player basically just get off the back.
Definitely. Well, let's pull up our slide here for our next event, because we've had a lot of cool ones coming up, but we're going to be in Minneapolis May 2nd through the 4th, Carmen.
Yeah, this is the second half of the regional championships that are going to be standard in the next round. I am so stoked about this. I know Minneapolis is a city that I personally think people have visited enough, but there was a standard pro tour there pretty recently.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
that was great to watch and see, and we're going to see if we can get some more players to the Pro Tour that weekend. May 2nd, 4th, check out StarCityGames.com for more information on that event. It will be all live, so make sure to follow the channel.
I know, I think in a lot of ways, Match Race is a bunch of wide open formats. So this weekend we see, what, 5 decks or something at 10-ish% or more?
Only 3. Only 3 decks at 10% or higher. Everything else is kind of nicely meshed up here when it comes to the format. So I think that's telling. You know, I think it's very easy for it to be a huge and close with one member, but the format's healthy and the games are fun, and I can't wait to see more of it.
All right, well, speaking of seeing more, that's going to do it for round 2. We've got Corey Baumeister, Ailey Lani. We're going to be back here in a few rounds, but they're going to take you through rounds 3 and 4 shortly. Don't go anywhere. This magic is sick.
That's annoying. Oh. Ugh. Collect these nuts, bitch. Full screen. Still Gucci's. And Gucci, mate. So goddamn Gucci. Oh, this thing sucks.
Championship here in Portland. I'm Ailey Loney alongside Corey Baumeister, bringing you all of the modern magic we have for you here this weekend. Corey, what are you most excited to see this weekend?
God, I just absolutely love regional championships in general. I love seeing players, accomplish that initial dream, getting to the Pro Tour, a couple players going to the World Championship. There's nothing like seeing those dreams come true and then follow their success to the Pro Tour a little bit later on. So, really excited for this one.
Well, this is round 3, so still plenty of matches to play. All of our gamers, I think there's just over 1,000 players sitting here with their favorite decks, maybe not their favorite decks, but the best deck to play. I'm pretty sure I know which one you would say is the best.
Who's to say? Who knows, really? It could be any deck.
Could be the perfect ride with Teach.
I believe it does, yes. I'd be reaching left and right for sure if I wasn't in the booth next to you. And I did qualify for both of these events, so I'm not going to lie, it was close. I almost, went out there and did some gaming.
I mean, you could multitask.
God, I wish. If I could double queue, play some Magic, and then get in the booth here, come on. I mean, that's my dream come true right there.
Sick, yeah. Just be a regional championship with Corey Baumeister, kind of like what we do,
I've always wanted to commentate over my own match, so that would be sweet.
Plenty on the line here this weekend to play for, though. As Corey mentioned, spots in Pro Tour, spots in the World Championship for our champion and our runner-up. And also, a nice chunk of change on the line as well for these players.
Yeah, always a lot of money these players are playing for. It's always really awesome. But let's check out the schedule that we're going to be seeing today. This is, of course, the regional championship. We are playing modern today, not standard. Day 1 is 9 rounds, and then 18 points or more will advance to day number 2, 6-3 record. Basically, as long as you don't do kind of a bunch of draw scenarios. 6-3 is going to be the cutoff there. And then day 2 will be starting at the same time we did today. And then we'll be doing 6 rounds of Swiss and then cutting to our top 8, Ailey.
Yes, indeedy. So that is what the players have to get through to. And here is the prize pool, like to mention. First place, $20,000 dues, a World Championship invitation, as well as a bunch of other cool things to go along with it. A pretty sweet little trophy as well, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. All these trophies look really awesome, and the players are really going to be just thinking from the beginning of this event, if I can lock in top 32, that is what they would go for. That is where you get that Pro Tour invite, plus you get that minimum $1,000, and you can start, really getting a ton of cash there at the top.
This is fuckers.
So that's a look at our prizes. Now let's take a look at our metagame. Corey, any surprises here?
I think it is just surprising to me that we have exactly 19.7% at exactly 203 players for both Energy and Breach, but I think the big surprise is that Breach even came close to matching Energy. Basically every other tournament we have seen so far, Energy has just been far and away the most popular deck. So the fact that Breach caught up is really impressive, and Eldrazi got a bump from, what we have seen at the previous regional championships in Europe and Canada. I think that kind of sets the precedent for what we're going to see, and we definitely saw a lot of the Frog deck.
Yeah.
Didn't have that great of a performance at the last one, and the Eldrazi did, as well as Breach had a pretty good tournament as well, so we see the uptick in those numbers.
Well, we are going to be checking out our feature matchup very shortly, friends.
Yep.
And it's going to be a pretty sweet one, too. Something that, we've seen in Modern for quite a while now. Something that we're pretty familiar with, and that is Amulet Titan.
Yeah, Amulet Titan is a deck that's just always been one of those decks that's very close to being one of the best decks. Maybe it's always tier 1, maybe not quite at certain times, but if anyone's going to make Amulet Titan look good, it's going to be Jack Potter. You might, of course, recognize him as he is a great player. He's been making it onto the Pro Tour, but House of Mana online for anyone who has lost to him over and over and over again like I have.
I believe you said he was cracked. For those of us who aren't cool with the lingo of the kids these days, that means very, very good.
Very good.
At this Amulet Titan archetype. On the other side of things, we've got Jason Urgang playing a Hollow One. So tell us what we expect to see in this matchup here, Corey.
Well, Hollow One is a deck that is trying to be extremely aggressive. So the goal is you have the Hollow One there in hand. You want to draw a bunch of cards, cycle some Street Race, stuff like that. Play Hollow One or multiple on turn 1 or 2 or something like that, and try to get Jack dead as fast as possible. The thing about this matchup, though, Jack's deck is also extremely fast, so I would think Joseph is going to have to do some interacting, which there's not a ton of it that interacts profitably against Jack, so I would think Mr. Potter here is pretty advantaged.
I just love this dice here for the Nethergoyf as that comes down in turn 1. Arboreal Grazer hitting the battlefield for Jack Potter, so getting the ramp going here as quickly as possible. So in my preparation for this, I'm very new to Modern, so this is all like, ooh, what's happening here? It's so shiny and bright. But, Amulet Titan, most important thing is to have ramp in your opening hand.
Yeah, being able to have elements to get your lands down as fast as possible and have the namesake card Amulet, definitely what it's all about. And, Amulet is a deck that I think is actually quite well positioned in the metagame. I think it has a pretty strong matchup against Breach. It's very close there. And, it does pretty well against energy decks since they've been trimming on Blood Moons and stuff. So I actually think Amulet's at a pretty solid place right now.
Check this out.
Follow-up here is going to be Spelunking. It's a fun card to say, or name to say, and it also gets you some extra lands down on the battlefield here. So ramp aplenty here for Jack Potter. Turn plus is back. Hollow one at Nethergoyf growing. I'm going to take care of that Arboreal Grazer though. Just get the blockers out the way and start dealing a big old chunk of damage. Yep,
this is a huge hit, and there is a, easily a way where Joseph can piece together a lethal attack next turn. So buckle up. This is the turn for Jack. Splunking is kind of Amulet of Titan 5 through 8, and will be able to do a lot of good work here if Jack has the tools available.
There's a Saga last turn. What's the follow-up here going to be for Jack? Because if we get one more spell in the bin, then yeah, that's pretty much lights out for him.
Yep, here is Scapeshift. So Scapeshift getting rid of all of these lands, and we're going to see, I assume, some Lotus Fields, any kind of amount of lands that piece together 6 mana to then start doing your Amulet things. Jack's also moving very fast. He's the type of player that once he has it, he knows what to do, to say the least.
Breeding Pool there, Teleria West, I believe. Yep. Lotus Field.
So they're all coming into play untapped thanks to Spelunking. So it already has 7, 8, 9 mana available. So no matter what, you're able to pick up the Teleria West, transmute it for a Summoner's Pact, play Prime Time with just what Jack has.
Prime Time for those of us who are new to the format, Primeval Time.
There you go.
And then Prime Time goes and fetches something that gives it haste, something along those lines, or is he not worried about that right now?
No, definitely will be trying to win the game here. That being said, the Handwear Battlement is in the graveyard, but I have no real question in my mind that Jack will still find a way to win this game.
See the judges just getting a mana pool sorted out here, so 7 green floating now for Jack. All those lands that get him to play off of the Scapeshift, so gonna go digging again, finding some more lands, and yeah, let's see where he goes from here.
Yeah, could easily be Summoner's Pacting for the Aftermath Analyst to then mill some more lands over, get them into play. Then when you get Teleria West the second time, then you go for Titan. Then you have the battlements in play. Plenty of things that Jack can do here.
All right, well, doing it like you draw it up. Aftermath Analyst is going to hit the battlefield now. 5 green mana floating. Mill some stuff and bring back all those lands. That's gross.
It's so gross. It's so gross. And these Hollow One decks, while they are very fast, while they are very aggressive, the only piece of interactions is just damage-based removal, and that's just not it when it comes to game 1. So we're going to be looking to the sideboard to be able to bring in things like Thoughtseize. The best kind of cards are Blood Moon style of effects, but Joseph just doesn't have those, so it is going to be a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, it's feeling like that. I mean, he has plenty of power on the board right now. Jack's down to 9, but, Jack is basically playing solitaire at this point.
100%.
Just going through the motions, getting as much mana floated as he possibly can, and now what else can here for him to get enough?
Yeah, there's a reason he calls himself House of Mana Online. He is definitely, his house is full of mana constantly here.
Oh, yeah.
His mana pool, his house, it's all full.
Tappy, tappy, tappy.
And Jack has played this deck basically through every iteration of Amulet Titan. Played it when there was the One Ring, played it before that, and is just kind of explaining, this is what I'm going to do. I can go through it if you want, but, you know, it's always good to have your opponent go through this, especially at least once.
At least once, just to represent that they know what they're doing. There's no doubt that Jack knows what he's doing here, but...
Exactly, but you want to see exactly how your opponent's going to kill you, so then how you can interact with them.
Kudos to Joseph for not scooping here, because every time I try to learn this deck on MTGO, people just scoop. It's like, no, come back.
Come back.
I want to see what I'm doing. Come on.
Exactly.
There we go. There's prime time. Primeval Titan hits the board. We're gonna go find some more lands. Dump those on the battlefield.
And with the way it works here, you know, Jack won't settle with just one Primeval Titan. It'll be kind of the scenario where there's the mirror pool. You'll be able to get another Primeval Titan. It wouldn't shock me to assemble a scenario where Jack's like, I will attack you with infinite Primeval Titans, and I will deal you infinite damage. Even though, of course,
Wait, hang on. How do we go
extreme.
infinite?
With the mirror pool, being able to copy Primeval Titan, then you use the Shifting Woodlands, target the Aftermath Analyst in the graveyard, sacrifice it, then the Shifting Woodland goes to the yard, comes back, the Aftermath Analyst is in the yard, copy it again, keep going and keep going, and you will just have as many Primeval Titans as you want.
Good grief.
Even though we really don't need that many here. And here's how I think I just mouth-read the words Infinite Titans.
Bitch.
That is silly. I love this.
Swear to fucking Christ.
I mean, I don't want to be sitting across from it, that's for sure. So, Joseph, I feel you, man. But, okay, so Joseph is happy with this explanation. Lots of big Titans, lots of big deadness happening over here. Sideboard, though, you mentioned he doesn't have that much to do here. So what on earth does he have to draw to get this game done before we see that again?
Yeah, Joseph really needs a much faster start than just another go. If you really want to have those hollow ones, ideally a couple of them right away would be ideal. The Meltdowns are okay, the Thoughtseizes are okay, but outside of that, this is not really the matchup that I would say Joseph is super prepared for. And to be fair, Amulet Titan does get that advantage with the fact that it's not expected to be the number 1, 2, or 3 most played deck, but the die-hard Amulet gamers will of course still bring this, and it still does pretty well here and there. Dom Harvey just top-8'd his Canadian regional championship with Amulet as well.
Not surprised.
Not surprised at all. He's a master of the deck as well. So.
What about this Mage Bane Lizard? That's cute.
That is cute, but yeah, I don't think that is going to do anything here. That is a card that's primarily for Breach. It's a very tough card for Breach to deal with it. And then from Jack's side, always interesting how they sideboard here. I would think the Seals seem pretty good if you want to just bounce some hollow ones. Force of Vigors probably are pretty strong if you want to just slow down the hollow one itself. I think basically Jack's just going to be looking at Joseph's deck list and thinking, how do I lose? And I would think come to the same conclusion that hollow ones, you know, 2 of them on turn 1 is probably the biggest way that he would lose, so we're going to see him probably prepare for it.
All right, well, while the players get their sideboarding sorted out, just a reminder, friends, that we have a brand new set release this weekend. Aether Drift is available now to order from starcitygames.com/mtg/Aether Drift. Join the Daredevil races from across the multiverse as they compete to claim the Aether Spark. 3 planes, 1 explosive set. Experience all the high-speed action in Magic's first racing-themed set.
I love it. I love it. I'm excited to draft with this, I must say. Start playing some standard with it. Look forward to the Pro Tour here in a couple weeks with that. Should be really exciting. And I believe is available to be played next week.
Yeah.
You know, next week already. So
I think the 13th is the actual release, but pre-releases this weekend. So if you are out and about and you want to head to a local game store, be sure to go and you know, get some games in music, get some reps.
Or if you're in Portland, I mean, I've been walking around, I've been doing a lot of Aether Drift sealed deck, a lot of limited going on here at these events. Always something fun to be doing at these SCG cons, especially over pre-release weekend. It's always exciting. I might try to sneak in a draft here between some of our booth shifts.
Yeah, let's seeing some of the special treatments as well. Bright yellow cards for Ether Drift.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, okay, I could see the appeal there.
Yeah, it is really cool. I'm a big fan. And we see for Joseph there, he just has those ley lines like face up.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's trying to like get in the mind of Jack or if it's hiding behind that deck box and he can't see. But I mean, it is reasonable to bring those in.
Yeah.
You did just see Jack beat you with the graveyard, you know? So something like ley lines is reasonable, but the one thing about this Amulet is you don't really need the graveyard to win. There's just certain draws, and the Aftermath Analyst is just a one-of, so it's an option. So, you know, that the Amulet Titan decks gain that kind of advantage against people sideboarding against them because they can win in two different ways, similar to Breach, where, yeah, you can win with the graveyard, but you can also, you know, just cast Titans and attack and win the game as well.
I mean, yeah, like, it kind of feels like a toolbox deck, you know, like, what method of attack or what avenue should I take for this opponent, for this matchup?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So, you know, it's never like a clear cut, okay, they are absolutely all in on their graveyard, like Team of Breach, for example. So, it is pretty sweet.
It is a great deck, and the people that know how to play Amulet, you know, are absolute masters of it, and I would think Jack Potter is at the very top of that. And of course, this is still a deck that can just win on turn 2. You know, you can go turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Amulet, and just absolutely go off from there. So the deck has the speed, it has the resiliency, and its really biggest enemy was all the Harbingers and all the Blood Moons of the world. And to be honest, I really like this deck choice as I'm kind of thinking about where the metagame is right now. Since Mox Opal got printed, Blood Moon and Harbinger used to be amazing against Breach, but it's way less exciting now when you can just have a mana of any color off your Opal for free.
Yeah.
So the Blood Moon effects just are nowhere near as good. You see lists that play like 1 or 2 in Boros Energy at the very most, so Amulet looking to be in a good spot.
I bet Jack is very happy about that, sitting at 2-0 here this weekend. Joseph Ergang also sitting at 2-0. So off to the ideal start.
Definitely.
The regional championship in Portland.
And looking at Joseph's hand, kept on the play 3 lands, Bobble, DRC, Orcish Bowmaster, and a Thoughtseize. So a good mixture of some aggression with a timely Thoughtseize that can really help out, take a Titan right before it's that time from Jack. So not going to be that explosive Hollow One draw that we have seen in the past, but still a very solid draw and has some interaction for the combo this time around.
Alright, Mesa to kick things off. Gonna go and find Mountain more Plains. Blood whacking himself for 2. Thoughtseize?
I would think you want to get your threat down, your DRC into Bobble first, but you know, there is some argument. If Jack does have the Amulet, that is really the one card you wish that you could interact with right away.
Yeah.
But it's hard to deny the value that you get from the free Surveil with Bobble.
Free spells, they're pretty good.
Yeah, gotta love it. Free value, good. So we'll see if Jack has the namesake start of Amulet. Once Amulet's in play, there's a couple meltdowns in the board for Joseph, but outside of that, you know, can't really do too much. But just the Saga to fetch it up here in 2 turns.
Yep. Arboreal Grazer, gonna be able to get in the way of this Dragon's Rage Channeler when it eventually starts flying. 3 card types in the graveyard so far.
Yep, looking like it. Double Street Race cycled, so now Hollow One does only cost 1 if we're able to find one. There's a Leyline top deck, you never really want that.
Thoughts? Now we're gonna get a Surveil. Say that?
Yep. And that will be Delirium, so at least the pressure has begun. And I believe we saw another Goyce as well from Joseph. So Joseph has a nice start, you know, has cleared off any real threat so far, the only Primeval Titan out of the hand. So, you know, if Jack were to never draw another way to get a Titan into play, it is going to be tough for Jack to win.
Yeah, I love these dice. They're so handy.
Yep, Carmo dice.
Yeah.
You need 'em.
Jack Potter, though, we saw the hand there, doesn't have much going on. Had the prime time, but is now in the graveyard, so has to start figuring out how to win with just lands. Now, we do know that the Saga can start spitting out constructs.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Not a great plan from the Amulet side, as they are never that large. You know, these constructs end up being the play pattern you'll see if Jack's hand is bad is, you know, make one on turn 3, make one on turn 4, get an Amulet. There are a couple of 3/3s. They're pretty much blockers, but Urza Saga just fetches up the namesake card of Amulet.
Now we see Fear of Missing Out. Gonna get rid of some of these Leyline of the Voids. And just get swinging.
Okay, this is a huge attack.
That is. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, looks like the Arena of Glory is exerted. I think they're
nice.
just representing that. So that did give the Nethergoyf the ability to attack again with Delirium here. So, yeah, the pressure's on.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of damage there.
But all that being said, Jack can still just win the game if he draws one of the 3 other Titans, any of the packs, maybe the Teleria West would be enough depending on what we find, as I know there was a Lotus Field from Jack's side. So a big tell that you'll see here is if Jack makes a construct, didn't draw what we needed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I can put this in the way of the 5/6 and cross my fingers and hope, but
yeah. And the problem is you can put it in front of the way of the 5/6 once, but it would get to tap again.
Yep.
If I see that being tapped, I am not feeling great. As Jack has something to do, and Jack's deck kind of does one thing. Put some Titans into play.
Yeah.
Shit.
Get some Titans, get some lanes.
Platinum's a bitch, y'all.
Looks like the map, though, so probably doesn't have Titan just completely ready to go right now.
So then Expedition have to go and fetch Teleria West that can fetch the Summoners pack that can fetch the Titan?
Exactly.
Is that how that works? Yeah.
That is how that works, but I don't think the clock really allows that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But Jukabog to just not die.
Cool.
Shrinks the Nethergoyf down to nothing.
And the DRC.
Yeah, and DRC, and makes Fear of Missing Out not able to have that ability. So, yeah, excellent play there from Jack. Will buy him a good chunk of time.
All drawing cards. 25.
But all that being said, Jack still, of course, still does have to find Primeval Titan here at some point.
Yeah. Not much else to win the game outright without the big critter there. So spelunking aplenty on the board now for Jack Potter. Gonna get to ramping and hopefully find the Primeval Titan.
Looks like a meltdown off the top there from Joseph. Not exactly what's needed. So looks like this was Arena of Gloried as well. So just an extra 1 piece of damage here via haste, but when you got the extra mana lying around, why not?
There's our Orc army. Little row, so long as the Orcish Bowmaster sticks around. But, you know, extra point of damage could matter.
Yep, and, you know, the Bowmaster is not very good against Amulet, but it would have been nice last turn with the double spelunking.
Yeah.
Where Jack really just can't not play his cards. You know, he has to just play into it, so would have dealt a couple extra damage, but the Fear of Missing Out was way too powerful last turn.
Speaking of damage, I think Joseph's done most of the damage to himself here.
Yeah.
Down to 11 and 9 is Jack.
Really reminiscent of kind of the old Death Shadow days.
Yeah.
Gotta love this. Burning Inquiry, could be anything. You know, Jack's probably fine with this at this point, as, you know, wants to find some cards. The one thing is Bowmaster does get those triggers here, which is real nice.
Is that enough now?
That might be enough,
Because what's that, 3 to face, and then the Orc army grows to a 4/4?
Oh, definitely enough. So I don't really know much that Jack can have here.